And if I can find my mouse. So we'll start off with, and so last week we had Nate talking to us a little bit about this quote: "We must all suffer from one of two pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The difference is discipline weighs ounces while regret weighs tons." And kind of his focus that he gave us for the week was to think of something you regret not having the discipline to do or not do that was really your choice to do that thing. Nate, did you want to recap anything at all, or does anybody want to share kind of their thoughts for the week?
Well, I just want to know if it was helpful for anybody, and if anybody was able to come up with anything. I didn't come up with anything new. I just continued working on the other two things I already have. And when I get those done, I'll add to it.
Awesome. I like the way Ashley is doing this, where we end with a thought and then something to think about during the week. And I don't, it's new, so I'm not thinking about it all week. But as we get closer to team meeting, I'm like, oh, we're going to be talking about X or whatever. So I really appreciate it. And I like this one, Nate, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. But it actually takes, for me, it took some contemplation to look back and say, what do I regret? And then in what category? I'm talking about my personal life and relationships and my business and this and that. So we want to make sure we don't continue that behavior if we do identify something. So one of the things I'll just share that I kind of identified when I talk about real estate. So just in this category, real estate and in my investing career and this and that, when I started, I felt I was like a lone ranger. I just studied by myself. I read books. I attended some seminars and stuff, but I listened to a lot of audio things. I was like kind of like on my own little island. So my regret is that I didn't get mentors earlier in, my life, in my early 20s, and accelerate my learning process and learn from those that have already done, like literally people that I could talk to. I did learn from people that have done what I wanted to do through books and through programs, but having an actual person as a mentor, or multiple people as a mentor, would have really served me well when I was young. So that's kind of a regret. And now where I'm at now, I'm really enjoying networking and bringing more people into my life and learning off people that have accomplished a lot of great things. And literally this last year, that area of my life has just exploded. Yeah. I got that from James.
Yeah.
The end. He's done. He's like,
Only 5 more things.
we know. Anybody else?
I would say it was a great training, and it's something that you think about all the time, right? Time goes by whether you are working on what your goals are, regardless, right? So, having that discipline to do what you need to do today affects how you're going to feel about it tomorrow and the results you get tomorrow. So I think it's a great quote, and it's a great thing to think about all the time. Like, am I going to regret this tomorrow, that I'm doing or not doing this today? It's really simple,
Mm-hmm.
and it can apply to a lot of things in life, right?
I like that you mentioned doing or not doing, because sometimes we can regret spending time on things that really don't move us forward or benefit us, and that's a regret as well.
Yep.
Love that.
I think for me too, what this brings up is taking kind of like what you're saying, doing, not doing, taking action versus like maybe putting something off. We say a lot, I'm gonna do it tomorrow, and then tomorrow never comes. One thing that I realized, and this goes back kind of to like working out, was that I always regret not working out, and I never regret getting up and doing it. And so I think that can apply to business as well. Like, you're never going to regret trying, attempting to do, but you might always have maybe those feelings towards like, oh, well, I should have, or I wish I would have done that.
Yeah. I remember when you first said that, you were going to yoga at like 5 a.m. and it was hard, right? And you had said, you had that realization that you never regret going, but you don't feel like it almost every single morning, but you never regret going, but when you don't, like, oh.
That's true. You guys have anything to add?
Well, one thing for us, like, we had a conversation with one of our clients. I think this is more fun.
They're both laughing.
No, but like, I said, hey, can I call you on this day? And we'll have a quick discussion. He's like, sure. I call him, he doesn't answer. It's like, send him a text that day, send him a text the next day, send him a text the next day. And then I'm like, I want to have this conversation because I don't want to have any regret thinking about this. And like, maybe I'm just approaching it the wrong way. So I just sent him like a long text message and said everything that I was gonna say, hit those points, and then just let it be. And I think he signed. I don't know,
Yeah.
not yet. Anyway, he will. I'm not too concerned about
I
it, but
just sent it out. It was great.
had we not done that, we would have been just like the agent that he kind of complained about when he replied to the text message, like, this agent hasn't done anything.
Is this the one you were talking about on team
Yeah,
meeting?
this is the same one, yeah, so maybe just, if it's not initially work in one direction, maybe switch it up and approach it from a different angle. Because had I not sent that text message, I still don't think we would have had that conversation.
Yeah,
That would have grown in frustration. He potentially could have looked for a third agent or something like that.
I
But
love that. If one thing's not working, try something else.
Well, that just made me think of like following up with people. A lot of times I feel like I'm gonna get annoying, like I'm reaching out multiple times, but then it's kind of like. If you have that feeling, oh, I should reach out to this person and I should do that, just do it, and then there's no question about it.
I didn't get to that point because every time I reached out is really for his benefit.
Yeah.
Because things can happen fast. There's a
Mhm.
cash offer or something. He needs to have his ducks in a row. And
Mhm.
so it was really just to benefit him. I didn't really have anything connected to the outcome or whatever. So that actually made it a little bit easier.
Nice.
I love that concept of not being connected to the outcome too.
Mhm.
It makes you be more bold.
It's hard.
It-
Well,
It
it's
is,
not as easy. I don't know.
it's a habit
Yeah.
forming though.
Yeah.
If that becomes just like, that's the way you do business, is like, I'm just not attached. I'm gonna do what I know I should be doing, regardless of the preconceived expectation I'm putting on them. So,
Well, when that happens too, I always feel like I just wasn't meant to work with that person.
Mhm.
Cause I gave everything I have as far as what I offer. Of course, I can improve in some things, but I'm usually okay with it.
only so much you can do, yeah.
What was that?
Yeah, the second part on here, you wanna go to that, or anybody else have anything they wanna share on that, regret or disappointment?
Yeah, there was another thing that Nate had said in his little write-up he gave me was write down your main goal to have the discipline to do or not do, then write down small goals to get there, work backwards to the start and then begin. I think that's just a really good concept always when you're setting goals. It's just to break it down step by step.
Well, that should be the goal of the activities that are gonna produce the results, right? Most people set a goal to, for instance, lose 20 pounds or whatever it might be, instead of I'm gonna work out. You just do the activity that produces the results and you will get that, but if you don't have the steps to get to the goal and your goal is to lose weight, well, what are you gonna do about it? If you haven't defined that and broken it down, so.
And I think sometimes you can beat yourself up for not reaching your goal, where it's like, well, what did you actually do to get there? Like you're saying, like, what were the actions? But if you never defined them, then you're not gonna have anything working towards it.
Yep.
Right, awesome, thank you, Nate. I think that was a great focus for the week and super helpful.
Thank you and everyone else for doing it.
Awesome, we'll move on to recognition. So we've got our same cappers and our new agents that we had last week, but I was going to recognize Shayna. She's starting. Well, she's starting her coaching business, Living a 10 Life, and she's already been talking to some clients and things and getting started. And so I just wanted to give a little shout out.
So Shayna, tell us,
Some accountability.
what does it mean to live a 10 life?
She's like, I hate you so much.
What are you doing here? Sorry.
We got visitors.
And babies in the house.
She wanted to mom. You said hi? Oh, yeah, turn something off of me.
That's good. timing.
No, it's
Yeah.
great timing. Thank you, Taya.
It gives you a minute to think before I turn the camera.
Thank you. Yeah.
Right on cue.
Focus on Shayna.
I was really texting him, be like, now, coming now, open the door.
Totally a mini, right?
There's Nana. Is that what you call them?
Looks just like you, Ash.
All right, we're ready for you. Okay, what was the question?
Uh,
The question I was.
No, I asked a question.
Oh.
She said living a 10 life. So I said, well, what does it mean to live a 10 life?
Okay, well, so I wasn't prepared for this, but I do feel like lately, like, I don't know, I feel like we sell ourselves short every day. We don't. I don't know, have you guys ever experienced where you've lived a 10? Like, what's something that you've done that you're like, I am just on top of the world right now? Terry, can you think of something? We're gonna make this a conversation, so I can.
Yeah, I guess I would define that as one of those days when, you know, I'm just in a good mood, I've got high energy, I'm getting things done, right? Cause
Yeah.
my day is usually a laundry list of, for me psychologically, it's just a lot of crap to get done, right? And so the more I get done off that list, the better I feel, right? And so for me, that 10 is like when I'm just
Yeah.
along. And then it's always good if you have some wins and know that you're not just checking the list, but whatever it is you were doing, you actually got a win out of it. Like it felt good, like, hey, this went the way it was supposed to go.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's how I would define a 10.
I love that. So that's kind of the lines that I'm going for, is to have that more consistently. And also, showing up for yourself and in your business in a way that's like if you're going into a meeting, you're like, okay, it's about energy.
Yeah.
And like, I'm bringing the energy, I'm coming in and I'm gonna give it my all. And
Nice.
it doesn't necessarily mean that we're gonna be there 24/7, because otherwise that 10 will no longer feel like a 10, right? We'd have to take it up a notch again. So anyway, that's the gist of it. I'm excited.
I love it.
Now turn that camera.
Pretend it's not there.
Well, I need everybody to send me like little recognition things like that so that I can recognize, or we can recognize people during team meeting. Yeah,
I'll get
Send
one
it.
next week.
got one. All right.
You know, I saw this is a sports analogy, but I saw a video over the weekend. Of, I think it was a Big Ten championship, Michigan, Iowa, right? And it was one of those plays, and I don't even know who won the game, to be honest. But because I just saw the highlight, but there's this guy, one of the players come down, it's a kickoff. So Michigan kicks off to Iowa. No, Iowa kicks off to Michigan. Michigan guy catches it on like the 5-yard line. He starts to juke so he can take off. This guy coming down, and he's one of the guys on the outside. Coming down, he's going to tackle the guy. He gets kind of blocked. Guy goes flying, rolls. You know, he's like 10 yards behind this guy now, like almost in the other end zone, right? This guy jukes, gets going up the field. He's breaking it. He could go all the way, you know, one of those kind of deals, right?
Yeah.
And he's cruising, and it looks like he's gonna, this guy's definitely gonna run it back. Well, then what they did on this video was they put an arrow on this guy, right, that followed the guy. And so you see him, he's way back there, and he's, you know,
The guy that got knocked
yeah,
down.
and he fell down. He gets up. So this is the more, the story of persevering and trying hard and never giving
Not
up,
giving
right?
up.
He gets up. This guy's home. This is 100 yards, right? He's coming, and he's a big dude. He's fast, right? That was what I was going like, holy shit, this guy's a linebacker sized guy. He's running like a DB, and he is just flying. I mean, here he comes. And there are guys in his way, right? Because it's the field's crowded. He literally is swimming and pushing guys out of the way as he's, He cuts this guy off the 2-yard line, knocks him out of bounds. But it was just such a cool video, the hustle and the effort that this guy put through to get there. So anyway, I think back to the 10 life thing, how I would relate that in is that, don't give up, man. Just keep.
Yeah, he was
keep
probably
grinding,
passing
right?
teammates that had
Oh,
kind of
he
just
did.
stopped running.
And I was,
Oh,
I
I
was
can
going
catch
like,
him.
my God, this guy's like 6'4", 240, and he's running like a, like a DB, defensive back, for those of you that don't follow
Do
football.
you want to be my marketer?
Spokesperson.
Yeah, that's great.
Should I be my social media rep?
Oh, love it. Okay, we switched up this section to be called Idea Sex. And we really
Wow.
threw James for a loop. Last week when we told him But so instead of like collaboration wins, challenges, you know, like what kind of clients do you have coming up? We're going to just push it all together, and anything that anybody wants to talk about with any of these topics, we're gonna throw them out there. And I'll let Jeff explain what idea sex is, because
Well, I was gonna ask, is it, first of all, who understands the idea and the concept behind idea sex and what that means? Eric, we've talked about this before. I know you do.
We talked about it in Vegas,
Yeah.
no pun intended.
Many times we have, yes.
Well, you got a smile out of Lynn, so. Or she's looking at her grandbaby, either way.
You got to smile at Eric. That's why I put my face on because I was watching his face.
Okay, yep, that's all.
Bye.
So, I mean, it's all around the concept of collaboration, right? When we share our ideas, when we share concepts, we already kind of have our own notion of how something should be done or what we want to accomplish, and then somebody else gives us another idea. And when we pair it with what we already knew and we get new information, it creates a whole new concept. So basically, you know, two ideas mating produce something that didn't exist before is kind of the concept behind that. And I've heard this for several years from different podcasters and different influencers as they talk about what I mentioned earlier, having mentors and learning from people that have done what you want to do and taking their ideas and making them your own. Along those lines, I want to make another comment. When I was younger and I had a little investor group I was running because I wasn't really investing myself anymore. This is after we kind of slowed down after 2005. I used to have this imposter syndrome when I would learn something and then I'd repeat it to somebody else, that I always felt like I had to quote the source. I had to preface the fact, hey, oh, no, this isn't my idea. I got this from somebody else, you know, for credibility and this and that. I don't know why. I don't know where it came from. But I realized after a little while, when you learn something new and you internalize it and you make it your own by putting it in action, it truly does belong to you now. And so I kind of, every once in a while it creeps back up, but I've kind of let that go because it is my thought now, because of the ownership I've taken of it. It's not just like I'm trying to rehash a quote or something like that. It's like, I truly understand this because I've applied it in my life. And so I no longer feel like I have to go back, you know, 4 different books and a seminar back and say where I first learned this concept, because very rarely do any of us have an original thought. It's usually, you know, birthed from something else that we've heard. So anyway, that's the idea here. And that's what we do here as a team, is the collaboration. And I learned from all of you guys when you share your thoughts. And so I love the collaboration that we have here. So Ashley also pulled market conditions into this one, and we can talk about these other things as well, but rather than talk about stats and everything, what I wanted to do today we got kind of a smaller group here, but kind of maybe bring up what your challenges are, your talking points that you're struggling with. People are concerned about the market. Are you having conversations, and are you struggling with how to answer that person to help educate them on how that applies to them? Anybody have any thoughts on the market conditions and those kind of conversations?
So, Jeff, you've helped me with Dell and Karen, and there's really not anything on the market right now. And I just listening to Kristen this morning talk about, you know, the different market conditions and things like that. Is there anything that you think I could say that might pique their attention, that maybe we can change maybe the demographics that they're looking at, or price point? They're kind of not going anywhere, doing anything, and I don't want to lose
Right.
out by not maybe searching for FSBOs or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I immediately have 2 thoughts on that, and you kind of touched on both of them. One is, what can they do and what can they control? Meaning, do they need to change their price point? Do they need to change their demographic? If nothing is available in the bubble they've created for themselves on what they want to buy, they have to change something. They have to look elsewhere, or they have to change their point based on what's on the market. So that's up to them. What's up to you to keep them as a client is to do, you mentioned the FSBOs, is for, it doesn't have to be a FSBO, but maybe you've identified a subdivision or a neighborhood or even an area of a city that they want to live in. You could proactively try and contact sellers to see who in their neighborhood is interested in selling, specifically to try and find a product for them that doesn't exist. It's not on the open market and everybody knows about it. Find that, you know, property off market, but then you get to report back to them. This is what I've been doing for you. I knocked doors in this neighborhood that you really, really liked that one that we didn't get, or it was too expensive. Showing them that you're working for them is going to create loyalty and tether them to you.
Okay. Thank you.
One thing too, I'm sure, Kim, you've already reverse engineered everything too, and you know exactly what price range they are in. But I think with today's market too, I mean, if you can find some more aggressive closing costs to lower the rates down, maybe you can expand the price range a little bit. It just kind of depends, but I'm sure you've probably done that already, and you know exactly what the max price that they feel comfortable with, you know, the lender and the monthly payment they're looking at. But that's one thought.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That gives me another idea, Kim. Sorry, go ahead.
Just that they don't want a payment. They want to make enough money on their current house that they're downsizing. They don't want to have a payment at all. So,
Okay.
but what they're finding is, when we've been looking, Karen made the comment, she said, these houses are what we pay for our house. And they're not as nice, they're not as big. And so I think some of the realizations kicking in that because the market just keeps going up, they're going to have to be looking at different perspectives moving forward, just because I don't know. It's going to be few and far between what they're really looking for and price point.
Well, and also on that, I mean, yeah, looking back on the past and seeing the increase in price, you can help them with that, because moving forward, especially here in Utah with the lack of inventory we have, and if indeed in an election year and the projections of 3 rate drops in 2024, if the interest rates drops, it's going to create more competition. Is it going to be easier for them to buy a house next year versus maybe expanding their parameters a little bit this year and locking something in that is in a price range they may never see again?
Right.
Show them some of that history. Go to utahrealestate.com and click on market stats, and you can search by criteria. You can search in their the area that they're looking in, and you can go clear back to, like, I think it's 97 or something like that. And you can show them the median price increase based on your search criteria that you're narrowing it down. This is actually the product you're looking for. Yeah, it used to be a lot cheaper, but look at the line on where we're going. You're only going to see that big dip right up from 08 to like 13, fit to 15 right in there. And other than that, it's going like this. So it's a hard bullet to swallow right now to buy in this market. If you're comparing it to what they bought their bigger house for 15 years ago, that I get it. But what's the alternative? And then looking forward, is it going to be easier? Is it going to be harder to make that decision? And back to Nate's presentation, are they going to have the pain of regret by not taking action sooner?
Right. Exactly. Thank you, both of you.
I know Dell really well. Let's go to lunch.
Yes,
he can buy.
Yes, he can.
What were you guys seeing out there with mainly when you guys were working on getting her under contract on the buyer side?
We're starting to see competition.
More competition?
Yeah, like offers on properties that we're looking at, where we did get beat out on one offer or one property, just barely. They were like identical. So yeah, there's more.
I think those were, at least the couple I've seen, are associated pretty closely chronologically with the price drop. So as soon as it gets to like some sort of a people's trigger or something like that, they
Yeah.
just hop on it and it's under contract in a couple days. That's why we pushed her so hard on this one, because it's the nicest one we've seen at a price point she can afford, and
Top of the list.
Well, with interest rates too, what's interesting is because we've had her since September. Working with her, and so she's kind of seen, actually a little bit before the meeting. But her price range has fluctuated with a max of 375 coming in at the highest the rates were, to now bumping up to 400. Gave her a little bit more buying power. So.
That should create a little bit of urgency too, because she's seen them higher than where they are now.
Yeah.
Where before, they just kept going up and up and up, and people are like, now that they've come down a little bit, it's like, hey, maybe you might want to take advantage of that dip.
So I feel like she's in that sweet spot, like right before it gets crazy, like interest rates are dipping, but the competition isn't quite increasing like it will when the rates keep going down. So, cause she's on the kind of the 375, 400 price range.
Where's she looking?
We just went under contract in March. But she was looking all bountiful to.
Didn't even have that person?
that didn't,
Yeah.
that didn't have enough bedrooms
Yeah.
or bathroom. Both of us.
That would have been good. Do a deal with Lynn.
Anybody else have anything that they want to talk about before we move on?
I'll mention kind of a fun little win. I was actually talking to Hillary about this at the office last week. About just reaching out to your SOI and what to mention about the market and things like that. But I told her that basically pay attention to talking points from the classes that we do all the time, and know what's happening in your anything that you hear about different incentives or programs. Keep it in mind, make notes of it, and be ready to share, and then offer that up. I know we had just a couple months ago, we had the You First deal where they bought a ton of money, and they were offering 5.99% financing on fixed rates. And they Edge also did that just recently, and it's for December only. So I actually sent out a text to all of my SOI I think it was Thursday, just letting them know a little bit about how that works if they hadn't heard about it, and that we've been helping some buyers get on really good pricing, low interest rates, closing costs from the builder. And actually we closed on one just a week or so ago that the exact same townhome sold for more than $100,000 15 months ago, higher than what we got it for. So, I mean, they got, that in a couple of years, it's going to be right back to that same price. So they're getting $100,000 equity very, very easily. So when I sent that message out, mostly crickets, but I got probably 4 or 5 conversations started. One's very interested, and a couple others were sent to friends that have been renting for a while and have been sitting on the fence. And then one of my past clients said, I'm actually thinking about buying something new, kind of in that 700, 750 range. Can you start a search for me? So it had nothing to do with the text, but it started a conversation that's going to lead to a transaction over the next couple months, I'm sure. So just staying in touch with people about what you hear, and like if it's good information for you and it's good information for your buyers or sellers, figure out a way to communicate that in just sharing information and market knowledge with them, and it can create a conversation.
Yeah, you had 5 conversations. That's actually really good. And of those that you didn't have a conversation with, you still made a connection, and you still now bumped yourself top of mind and got back in flow with them. So that's really good.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And so did you do that through your CRM then?
Yes and no. I have, because my CRM has a different phone number on it. So I sent out about 100 in my CRM, but I did 40 through my Reach app just with my phone. So it'd be my personal cell number. So I just have some that I talk to on a more regular basis that recognize my phone number. So
Nice. Nice. Good
but
job.
they're all of those. I mean, it wasn't a huge SOI list, but it's all my SOI that receives something from Michelle and I once a month, like a newsletter or, our boomerang, discount cards. So they see us all the time. So it was an easy touch.
Well, that kind of confirms the value of just the talking points that you were talking to Hillary about, is gathering that information from the trainings or from your professionals you work with, and then share that information, because your SOI may or may not come across that themselves, right? And they're not actively searching it, but if you can interrupt them with some valuable information. Another thing I saw this morning on those lines is, does anybody subscribe to Keeping Current Matters, KCM? Eric, Terry, you heard of it?
I've heard of it, yeah.
Lot of market stats, generally, national stats, but Keeping Current Matters is gonna give you a lot of graphics and information and talking points as well. And the one this morning, they were talking about CMAs and, how to do a different type of CMA and have a different talking point. People use CMA or market analysis and things like that. What they call this, which I thought was pretty clever, is where is it? A professional equity assessment report. PEAR, professional equity assessment report. It's a different title for the same thing, but you're coming from the top end down. Let me show you how much equity you actually have. And this says that this paragraph says, with record amount of equity homeowners are sitting on, a whopping $290,000 on average.
Wow.
That's the average equity homeowners are sitting on. So why not have a talking point on the possibilities that might create in pairing that with what their future goals are? They might be thinking in their head, I would like to move, but I have a 2.5% interest and now they're 7. They're done thinking about it. So having a conversation, and I've been thinking this would be a great idea for a workshop or a class for SOI, is just to get your professionals, your lender, maybe your title person, or those that are entrenched in the industry like us, a couple of us maybe even together, and invite people just to talk about the market. In fact, we're going to be doing a panel discussion in January with my lender, Corey Lewis, and we're putting together a couple of panelists, and we're going to do it over at Edge Homes, but specifically to address what's going on out there. And what does that mean for them? Because there's so much misinformation out there that it's our job to kind of distill that down for our clients. And they're looking for our opinion. They don't want you to just share an article with them or just share a stat or something. Well, what does that mean? What's your professional take on that? Based on your experience that they can actually use and see you as their trusted advisor and expert in real estate. They want to know what you think about it. They don't need the information. They can find that on their own. They can do a Google search and get it almost anything they want, but they don't know how to interpret it like you do. That makes sense?
That's a good point, Jeff, because in that message that I sent out, I didn't give market stats. I actually told a short story. It was just an example of Michelle and I just helped a first-time home buyer get 4.25% interest rate for their first year on a buy down, and bought a townhome that for $100,000 less than what it sold for 14 months ago. Super short. It's like, well, what? Tell me more about that, because that sounds interesting. They are not hearing that in the public.
Creates curiosity for sure.
Yeah.
Because now they're wondering, how did they do that?
Yeah.
Nice job. I love that. And you all can still Eric's story because it's still factual and true, and send it out to your SOI.
Yeah, for sure. It's super easy story.
Right?
I mean, it's out there all the time. And I think with that conversation you're having at Edge Homes, I think a really cool scenario would be like that. Let's say, what is the cost of waiting if, let's say in 2 years, 3 years, that home is back to $100,000 or back to where it was just 15 months ago, and you're paying a 4.25, 5.25, and then you're locked in at a 30-year 6.25, like on a buy down right now. What is the cost of waiting and buying that home in 2 years when maybe rates are at 5%? We don't know, for a 30-year, but it's $100,000 more. How much does that cost you over the long term by waiting until rates are 1% lower? Or even just hoping, who knows if they even will be. So it might be a lose-lose by waiting.
Lynn?
What?
What?
Oh, you unmuted yourself. I thought you had something to say.
Oh, no. The only thing that I would add to all of that is that Kristen's team meeting today was really positive and exciting. So on the side where Eric's at, that's really exciting for buyers. Sellers might freak out a little bit about that, only thinking, oh shit, if they're selling for $100,000 less right now, where's my equity sit? But for sellers, you know, I've got a couple that are really struggling selling right now. There's a lot of really exciting things that are happening in 24. So totally different, you know, story that you could tell to your SOI that, you know, are maybe looking to sell. So yeah, there's just two sides, right? It's exciting right this second for buyers. Like, to me, it's like, get out there and buy right now, because things are on sale. Because I know that if I took my listings I have right now and I put them on in the spring, I'm going to make my people a lot more money. Will they do that? Some people want to sell right this minute. They don't want to wait till spring. But that would be my recommendation to the people that I have right now, because they've dropped so significantly. So the buyer's looking at that and they're like, you know what, that's what it is right now. And they're sitting on the fence. Well, that same house is probably going to be worth a ton more in the spring. So that's, I mean, I just really, really wish buyers would get off the fence and get out there and buy.
Well, you know, I love that. Right or wrong, I have always looked at the market kind of consistently. Like right now, it's a buyer. I mean, it's, you know, it's a buyer's market. You know, we can get better pricing. And so it's a good time to buy. It's a good thing, you know, when things are on sale. But if you're selling and then buying right away, does it really matter when you buy or sell? I mean, if you're getting $100,000 more for your home, but you're paying 100, you know, if you're moving up the price, you're going to pay $150,000 more for the other home. But right now, sure, maybe you get $100,000 less for your home, but you're getting $100,000 better deal. Obviously, those numbers aren't exact, but does it really matter if you're going to do a buy sell, like when you do a buy sell? Because market conditions are going to control both sides of it. The only time, like right now, so it's a bad time to I mean, it's not the best time to sell and then not buy, right? You don't want to do that. So there's certain parts of the market where you know there's things that make more sense to do or not do. But yeah, great time to buy. If you want to do a buy sell right now, you'll get a better deal too going into your new home. So
That's a great share, Eric. I mean, do they really think in their mind that the sellers have one market and the buyers have another market? They're both in the same market. I mean, bringing that concept together, that those that are doing both, they're going to benefit on one end and they're going to pay on the other end.
yeah,
Always.
it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter when you do a buy sell. It's all the same, right? Interest rates can change that a little bit, obviously, but it really doesn't matter when you're looking at dollars. Sure, if you have a crystal ball, you sold a year and a half ago and you've been renting for a year and a half, and then you're buying today. Sure, right. Okay, crystal ball, but you can't do that. It doesn't make sense.
Jeff, one thing I would add to that, what we're talking about, excuse me, the macro numbers of the market, right? Mm-hmm. I would say that we all have to remember to go into the more, I guess, the personal or the micro of it, which is finding out. You always hear this term utility of use, right? You need to buy a house because you need to use it. It's not a stock that you're buying. You need it for your family. You need it for your job. You need it for whatever reason, and if you can start focusing on those, and that's very emotional too, right? Because that's your personal, I'm gonna get up every day, I have to have a bed to sleep in, I need a bigger kitchen, I need a bigger office. Those are things that are very personal to you, so if you can drill in on those, and maybe you find out that the wife just started a new business and she doesn't have enough space, and you remind the husband, hey, what's your wife, you try to get into those emotional needs that those people have and reinforce that. Yes, the markets, the interest rate, the price, that's all good. We need to do that. But if you can hone in on their needs, what's really driving what might make their decision, combine those two together, I think you'll have more success that way.
I think the emotion talk is an important one because a lot of buyers only think of the negative aspects of the emotion, the feeling, and maybe it's the regret they didn't do this sooner or whatever, they have this emotion. But I always give my buyers permission to bring in emotion to their decision to buy a house, because that's why they're buying the house.
Right.
The school district for their kids, or closer to grandparent, whatever it is, it's like that is an element and it has a value and a utility, and you can't ignore it.
Right.
So when you give them that permission to use that in their decision-making process, it stops them from feeling guilty about being emotional about a money decision.
Yeah, I mean, it might be something as simple as, John, didn't you tell me that your company is not, allowing you to go back in the office, or you're working more from home now? How's that working out? I mean, is it crowded? Or what did you convert one of the bedrooms? You start getting those kind of discussions, and then you can start maybe driving those needs that they have, or hey, I heard your mother-in-law moved into the basement. Wow, is that kind of crowded? Whatever it is, right? I mean, you try to capitalize on what are their needs, and then use that to catapult.
I like what you're saying, because it is our responsibility to take an active role in this. They need us to be their guide. We can't just listen to their price point in their area and this is what they want. Okay, well, I'm trying to find what they need. We need to draw out of them why they came up with that and where the flexibility is.
Because to me, if that exists in a transaction, that will trump whether they're getting 599 or whether they got 20 grand off, or they got 2,000 for closing costs, right? That's all nice. They need that. That's helpful. But what really is probably going to drive their decision is stuff like that. Right. House is too small. I don't have any room. I need to trade up, or or I don't know, who knows? I'm so sick of my neighbor next door. I got to move. Who knows? It could be anything, right? You just have to figure out what it is.
And those may be blind spots for them. So if you don't have that conversation, it's going to continue to be blind. But if you bring those up, that may get their wheels turned into reemphasize that point that they may not have considered. So.
Yeah, or maybe it's the investment angle. And you've talked about moving for a long time. Why don't you keep your current house? Let's go get you in a new one. We'll rent this one out, and whatever it is. I mean, there's a million angles you could probably go down.
Well, it's that problem. They don't know what they don't know. Right. And so that's
or it might be one of those things. I just had this conversation with a guy not too long ago. It was, what is your interest rate on your current house? 2.7 something he had. Well, that was immediately, well, gee, you don't want to give that up, do you? Why don't you keep that, buy a new place? So he did, he's going to keep it rented out.
Use that cash flow.
He realized that, I'm probably never going to see 2.7% interest rate. My debt service is very low. I can make that, rent equation work a lot better with that kind of a debt service, right? So
even if they think in their mind that would be a good idea, they don't know how to do it if they've never been a landlord before. So having somebody that's done.
But again, it's just one more reason in the decision process where they might be thinking about a lot of other things, and then you bring that in, or these other reasons to kind of supplement and get that emotional part.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, for sure. Nate, you got your hand up.
I do. I had something else I wanted to add about SOI.
Okay.
So we're talking about the market conditions being more of a buyer's market right now. And I wanted to add that we're, at least here, it seems like we have been downsizing agents. Agents just aren't as busy, and they're leaving. And so the people are still wanting to buy, maybe if they can't buy right now, and their buddy isn't licensed anymore, or he's working full-time somewhere else. So now is a really good time to grow your SOI list. I've grown mine in the last few weeks by 36, just by starting conversations and keeping going. And then I just registered a booth for the Willamette Valley Sportsman Show in February, where I'm gonna do, hand out stuff and whatever, agent and booth stuff. My
Yeah.
lender's gonna come to you, but it's all to grow my SOI. Because right now, like I said, is a really good time to be growing. That way, when the downturn goes to an upturn, you're busier.
Yep. Super smart. Thanks for sharing that. 36 in the last couple of weeks. That's really good.
That's awesome. And I think a lot of this, I mean, what we're talking about here is just that the market is always relationship based. So no matter what's going on with the market, building your relationships is like one of the best things that you can focus on. And that's kind of what our training was about last week with Josh Cavalier. He talked about building a referral based business, and he made a lot of really, really good points in his training. One of my favorites was when someone sends you a referral, don't just send them like a gift card and say thanks for the referral once that transaction closes. Instead, right when they send it to you, send them a little something. Right when you get them under contract, send them something. Right when you guys are closing, send them something. A couple months later, say they're loving their new house, send them something. It's kind of like building up that subconscious reward system within your SOI as well, to send you also referrals and to meet new people through that way. But I thought he had a really great training. I love this graphic that he had. You got your comfort zone, fear zone, learning zone, and growth zone. And I just wanted to open it up if anybody else had any good takeaways that they wanted to share about this last week's training.
I don't know if you covered this, but just a comment that popped into my head about timing. Sometimes this time of year, you think, oh, it's the holiday season. I don't want to bug people and whatever, right? But I think this is a great time of the year to talk to people, because usually we're all so busy in our day-to-day jobs that our real estate agent trying to get our mind share and our time is a challenge, right? Because I'm busy. Well, if you start to slow down a little bit in your job, which most people do, right? Yeah. This time of year, they have a little bit more personal time to, take those calls, look at those texts that you might send them. So I think it's a good time to hit people up when they're kind of in the slow time on their job, so they can pay more attention to what you might be putting in front of them.
A lot of people are taking days off and
just
relaxing right about now.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Gives them a few minutes to think about it, type thing.
Yeah. Well, it's just a good time to just check in.
Yeah.
I like the combination of what Nate just shared and the referral business, because Nate's doing this expo, not to try and get a listing or to get a buyer, it's to get a name and to get a start of a new relationship that now that you can take through this process. What an easy expectation that you can't fail. I'm just there to meet people. So I'm excited to get an update on that afterwards, Nate. That's awesome.
Definitely. Yeah, and with the referrals you're talking about, I'm also working with small businesses, that other like home-based businesses, like electricians and plumbers and stuff. I've got 6 people on board as referral partners, and we'll be sharing referrals. And then every house I close, the homeowner's going to get a home book, and it's a hardcover home book. And the front page is going to have, of course, me, and then my list of all my preferred partners. And I'm going to have a magnet sheet for a refrigerator made up of all of us. And I'm also going to hand those out at the expo too. The goal is 12 partners. But
Nice.
Always need a trade when you move into a house. Nothing's ever going to be right.
Yeah.
Right? You got to fix stuff. That's very useful. That's a good idea, Nate. I like that.
I've been using that too, Nate. I've been writing handwritten cards to my SOI last few weeks, and it's been pretty awesome. But I'm not asking them for anything. The only ask, I guess I would say that I would put in some of them is, if you ever need a referral for another professional, I have a lot of amazing contacts. Don't hesitate to reach out. So it's like, I want to be the connector. I want to be that guy. When they need a plumber, they call me. One of my guys reached out and asked for a roofer. So, be that connector. And Nate, another thing, obviously I'm thinking of pitch 59, but with your vendors, to give them some added value, maybe share that pitch 59 with them and show it to them, because, it's going to make it easier for you to refer them. And it's a good value add to give to them. And if you haven't taken a close look at it, take a look at it. Eric's got an affiliate code, you could use and get it for cheaper, and then you could get one to help save some money for your clients. That's what it's for, is they can actually get it cheaper by signing up with an affiliate than they can if they go directly to the company. So I've been getting some good mileage out of that on just sharing that with my professionals, because they all love it.
I'm going to share that with them. I already signed up for it. I just haven't paid the feature yet. I'm going to, but that's part of the plan with the partners is meeting in person with them, maybe once every month or a couple months, to have a referral partner dinner so we can build relationships. Because it's easy to forget who is who if you're not actually in a relationship with somebody. So if
Mhm.
we're sharing referrals back and forth, and my part of my pitch is, I would like to have 1 or 2 referrals from you a year, and I'll send you anybody that I have that needs a roof or whatever.
I love
Speaking of pitch 59, I just wanted for everybody in Utah set, or give you a reminder that we're having Trayson come into the office on the 21st. He's gonna be helping us record some of our, pitch videos. And,
it.
you
I
just,
think you sent everybody an email too.
only people who attended the
Oh.
training. So anybody that attended our pitch 59 trainings, I sent an email inviting them to that. But, what we'll do is we'll get a list of everybody that's coming and then give you like a time slot of when you can come. I think we're gonna try to do 30-minute time slots for you to work with Trayson and record your video. And he's doing them at a discount for us since we're getting multiple people in here. So it'll be $275 to get that pitch 59 video done professionally. Jeff and I just went this last week to a pitch 59 event. And I think one of the big things is that if you have a pitch video, you're gonna be more willing to share it and want to share it if it's done professionally and you really like it. Cause I know like I just did like a selfie one, like just filmed myself, and I feel like I didn't do that great of a job on it, and I don't necessarily
It's
want to
good
share
enough,
it.
it's good enough, you've been sharing.
It's good enough that I have been, but it's not
Better
like
than
who I
nothing.
really want to.
Mhm.
So at least consider getting a professional one done, because then I feel like you're more apt to share it.
Just a quick note on your videos when you do your pitch 59s. I don't know if you've ever been on my website, but I'm not a hacker or a great back end website guy, but I was able to figure out how to write code into my EXP website and put a video on the page itself embedded. So if you go to my EXP website, you'll see me saying hi and introducing in a video. That would be a great other place to put your pitch 59 video. And as long as nothing's changed, I could show anybody how to do that.
That's awesome. The video introduction of yourself, it makes it personal and stuff. Ashley just ordered me some QR code stickers because I've been writing all these notes and everything, but I don't want to put a business card in there. I don't want to make it look like a marketing piece. It truly is personal, but the QR code sticker goes to my pitch 59, and that's just my contact information, right? I think it'll be a little bit different than a business card. So as I write these notes and stuff, on the inside of that card, I'm just gonna slap that sticker and then go put them out. So, and I give books away somewhat often too, and I'm gonna slap one of those on the inside jacket cover of the book, and then they can go. I mean, if you just saw a QR code, wouldn't you be curious what it is?
Yeah.
Especially if it was something that you see from somebody you know, not like, oh, I wonder what site that is, it doesn't seem fishy or whatever, so.
The other thing that Jeff and I did is we put our pitch 59 little video in our email signatures. So instead of like having like Ashley Taylor, EXP Realty, phone number, everything, instead we just have a link to our pitch card. So then if people, I can't remember exactly what it
Click
says.
here for my contact information.
Yeah, click here for my contact info, but we put it in our email signatures just so people will click on that and at least watch it. And that's how they can get it.
It tracks your views, yeah.
Hey,
So-
I'm not real great at shooting videos of myself. If anybody's got a good script for my pitch, I'd love to hear it.
Oh, Nate, were you on the training that Alan Blood did about creating an elevator pitch?
I was, but sometimes I don't have the greatest video. Like the feed cuts in and out, so I miss some of the stuff sometimes.
Right. Well, let me give you a real simple outline of the components that this should probably include. Obviously the introduction, but what they've found in the networking we've done with people that have Pitch 59, and I go on their webinars and with the affiliates and stuff, and I get a lot of feedback. What they found, if you start with something personal about yourself in your introduction to make yourself relatable, that's number one in your introduction. Then identify a pain point that the people that you want to work with might have. Like for me, my pain point was identifying people that realize they don't have enough assets and passive income for the retirement that they hope to have. You know, they haven't created a wealth base so that they're secure and their retirement's predictable. That was my pain point, because most people go, yep, that's me. Then my resolution to that pain point was that I help people create a predictable retirement through the accumulation of assets and passive income. So you want an introduction, you want a pain point, what's your resolution to that pain point? And then simply a call to action. And that can be as simple as click on the contact button on this pitch card and reach out to me, or you can do something more specific. But that's a real basic outline. Just write down those 4 sections and then make a paragraph in each one as you brainstorm on that. And remember, you got to keep it under a minute. So you know, write it out, read it, time it, and then you'll edit it down and refine it, and you'll have a great starting spot.
I'm gonna go, I got 11 o'clock, I have to be on, see you guys.
Okay, then, thanks for coming in to see it today.
Thank you.
Yes, I'll reach out. Okay, we're at 11 o'clock, so I've got a few more things just to go over real quick. And Lynn's gonna close us out today, so I want to get to her quote that she sent me. So next week, I'm gonna be doing my training on the anxious agent. And it kind of is a little bit about like what we were talking about with our clients, where we help them see their blind spots. We help them see things that maybe that they're not able to see on their own. That's a little bit of what I want to do in this training with real estate agents, is to just help them see things from a different perspective, where we can reframe our thoughts and look at the market from a more of a positive viewpoint. And then our other upcoming trainings, we've got another overview coming up on January 3rd. Can't believe we're already in January. And then Sydney's gonna be giving us one on the 10th. And then on, what's the next, 17th? It would be the 17th. We're going to be doing our panel. We're still finalizing the panelists on that, so I don't have all my registration and everything up yet, but we should have that.
That will be a good one for you guys. I see Kim and Eric still on here locally. Nathan, it will be on Zoom, so you could invite to that as well. But we're gonna go to the conference room. Well, it's more of a presentation room at Edge Homes off of Bangerter Highway and I-15. They got a nice space there. We're gonna have a nice lunch. And so it's not gonna be here, but it'll still be on our Wednesday slot. It'll just be at a different location. Invite the agents you've worked with in the past. It should be a good one.
Yeah, we're excited. We're excited to add in, we're gonna add in those panels quarterly. So we're excited to add those in. Then we have Lynn that's gonna give us our parting thoughts if she's available. I see her video's off. There she is. Yay.
Sorry. I got some fun things to deal with today, so like we all do. My quote is what is it actually?
When the going gets tough, the tough get going.
Thank you. Okay, so sorry. This is something that when things get rough for me, that I will say over and over to myself. And what it does is it just it motivates me that I am tough and that I am going to get through. And it doesn't matter what comes at me or the obstacles that I need to get around. I'm tough. And it's just a small thing, that I heard when I was young. I don't even know why it came to me in the recession, but it did. And it was just, you know, when I would sit at the office and I'd be there for long, long hours, wondering how I was going to pay the things that I needed to pay. I would just say this to myself. Sometimes you feel like you're a lone wolf out there trying to accomplish things. Back then we didn't have the family that we have now. And when I talk about that, I'm talking about our real estate family. And I know Eric was having fun going through some of the same struggles that we were at the same time. And I'm constantly hearing stories of people that didn't quite make it through those times. And I don't know, this is just one I really like. It's not anything that takes a lot of ingenuity to, and thought process. It's just one of those things that pops into my mind when it's tough to push me through what I need to.
Well,
Yeah.
you mentioned that we've all gone through things, right? And I've heard other people put it this way, that we all have 100% success rate of getting through the things that we've gotten through, right? And so when we're in the midst of it, realizing the other quote, this too shall pass, or whatever you want to tell yourself, you're going through something. So back to Nate's original thing, are we going to regret that we didn't try harder? I mean, you and I, particularly you fought during the last downturn to preserve what we had built to the best we can, and to make sure that we did not put anybody else that had entrusted their money to us in a bad situation. But if we had said, oh, it's too much, and if things got tough, and if we didn't get going, what would we have today? We would have regret. I wish we would have done that. So that's the discipline part. It kind of ties together Nate's thing with what you're saying.
And I think it's really a good one for right now, because I do see a lot of people with a negative attitude that are kind of giving up and throwing up their hands, where it's like, tough it out. This industry is this way. This is what happens. We go through cycles, we go through ups and downs, and we need to we get to look at different ways to do our business, different ways that we can put good out into the world, because inevitably that always comes back to us anyway. It's so just keeping your eyes and ears open. And yes, okay, things are changing. Where? Don't cry about it. Just, change and shift and pivot. I mean, that's exactly what I'm watching Eric do. It's exactly what I'm watching Shayna and James do, and Kim and Nathan, is you guys just keep pushing and keep going. And if this doesn't work, okay, well then, I tried that as long as I could, and now I'm pivoting to this. So I think mindset is huge, and discipline within ourselves of saying, yes, you know what, I don't want to regret that I gave up. I don't want to regret that I didn't call that person that my instincts were to call. Just be aligned with other people, and realize that there are intuitive messages that do come to us, and follow those messages. When someone pops into your head, just send them a quick message. People, that's our business.
That's a great way to start a handwritten card too, by the way. When people pop into your mind, you just start with, hey, you popped into my mind the other day. I thought I'd just reach out and say, hey, and then, say something personal about your connection with them and stuff like that. But along the lines with your quote, Lynn, as far as, when things get tough get going, it's that perseverance, and that's discipline to just deal with it. It is what it is, right? I mean, this is what's facing you right now. If you want a fun little book to listen to that talks about personal development and this kind of stuff from a different perspective, it's by Larry Winget. It's called Shut Up, Stop Whining, and Get a Life.
Sometimes I feel like saying that.
Yeah. But it's just a very blunt and bold way to say things you could say a little bit more.
Okay, and Lynn, I didn't remind you, but do you have something that you want us to focus on for the week with this quote? One thing that was coming to my mind as you were talking was the words that we use, can't, should, have to. Those are very much close-ended words. They kind of like stop the story. Whereas if you can switch that to a question like, how can I, or what would work, that allows your brain to keep the story going.
What do I get to do, right? What do I
Yeah.
get to do?
Mhm.
What am I excited to do? Like, you can sit and see all the things that are in front of you in a day that you should be, which should is not one of those words that we should use. Not effective. You can look at everything and you can get yourself into this anxious mode, right? Or you can say, oh my gosh, look at everything I get to do, you know, and you can make it just that small shift of being excited about it instead of being anxious about it makes a world of difference just in the thoughts in your head and the words that you use. The other thing I would really challenge everyone, and this is probably more so with people that have kids, is to get away from good and bad. There isn't really a good and a bad. It's just who we are and what we are and the way things are. So yeah.
I love it. I love eliminating can't out of your vocabulary. I mean, I think of this one, the next time something's kind of tough, like what Lynn's talking about, when things get going tough, I use this on my kids. When they say, oh, I tried, I can't do that. Come back with, well, what if you could? And then, oh, I can't. Well, but what if you could do that? It just makes your brain think of, well, I can't do it based on the way I'm approaching it. But if I needed to do it, what if your life depended on it? You're gonna think about it from a different angle. But what if you could? What if you could do it? Other people could do it.
The words you would want to use are, what would it look like?
Mm-hmm.
So if you say you can't do something, but what would it look like if you could?
Yeah.
And get them to picture what it would feel like. What would it be like? What would their emotions be, or your emotions be, if you were able to do something you don't think that you can do? And once you can feel what that feels like, then that's when the shifts start changing in your mind. What would it feel like, Eric, if you had an assistant that helped you do all that paper?
Oh my gosh.
You know I'm playing with you, right? Because I have that same issue.
Can't imagine how that feels.
Hey, Lynn, what would it feel like if you allowed somebody to help you with your bookkeeping?
That's
What would that feel like if you had more free time to spend?
I think he's so shush your bucket.
She's like, this has been about me.
I'm asking the question. Oh, I love it. Thank you for sharing. That was great.
What's our homework?
She,
Did she say?
well, I don't
Or
know,
our
do you have
focus, not homework,
specific
but
focus?
maybe just focus on the challenges and things that get tough and.
Oh, no, what I would love everyone to, I would challenge you to do is to try to keep or catch yourself if you say you need to, or it's just the words that you're using, change them to be something you're excited to use different wording to where it's not a have to or a need to, but it's I get to, and I'm excited to. But because we say it all the time, like oh, but I need to do this, but no, you get to do this. So just challenge you to watch the words that you use when you're talking about the things that you're going to be doing, because it literally can change your whole perspective on what you're doing for that day.
Love it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Welcome.
Now, we move on to our agent attraction section. Eric actually had something that he sent over to me, which I just copy and pasted to Eric, but here, this is the Facebook page information.
We'll put this in the group too.
Yeah, I'll put it in with the recording.
Yeah, that's just fine. You know, I think most of us were on the call last week on Monday with Matt Ashby, and it was so great And it made me think of a lot of different, things about our team and EXP in general. Is all of us know we have it better here than any other brokerage, especially if you've been at another brokerage. You know that it's not just about the fact that we have stock opportunities, we have revenue share opportunities, but we have a community that is really approaching 90,000 agents large. And if you go to events, you feel that family. If you get onto workplace, you feel it. People are willing to help like they just don't do in other brokerages, which is really, really cool to have that a part of what we do every day. But EXP is enough already. And I know we talked about this a couple weeks ago too, is that just a few years ago, I don't think that I necessarily would have said, if you want to sell more real estate, you have to be at EXP, but that is the case now because of the tools that we have to offer. Those that want to sell more real estate should be with us. But when I was sitting there listening to Matt, it got me thinking about all the EXP agents that are somewhat, they're like orphans, right? Maybe their sponsor told them about EXP and they left, or maybe they left the business, or they just don't have any support. And it got me thinking of how fortunate we are that, we have Jeff, Lynn, and Ashley, and everybody that is helping every single week to give us the opportunity to help grow a revenue share team if it's something that we want to do. But I think if it were me, let's say my sponsor was not Jeff and Lynn, and I didn't have any help, I would reach up to Matt because he's the first one that I really heard anything about EXP. I was on a Zoom call with Jeff, and Matt explained everything to me. So if Jeff and Lynn disappeared, I would have reached up to Matt and say, hey, I need some help. I want to grow. And because of that, the fact that we have such good leadership with our team right here, Team Limitless, I think for me, sometimes I forget what we have with Matt and Patrick. And we also have Gene Frederick, who is willing to help us with, some, larger agents and brokerages that want to come over. So utilize what we have available and don't forget about it, because sometimes I do. And Matt and Patrick have some amazing tools, and we're doing the once a month overview. But if everyone's thinking, man, I got to get ready for that next overview and I got to make sure I get people there, that's great. But it's also difficult because you feel like, okay, this is the time of month I need to focus on that. When in reality, it should be every day, every week that you're thinking about it and you see those opportunities, just like buy and sell, right? So take a look at these resources that are posted on here. If you haven't joined Matt's Facebook page, do that. And these links that I posted on here are actually the first step, which is, well, it's actually step 2, Intro Video USA. It's about 8 minutes long. You send that out to someone first, and then there's the model explained, which is the last link on there, which is kind of a follow-up. So we can actually use Matt's tools and our monthly overview to help grow a team. And if there's one thing that we've all learned over the past few years with EXP and switching brokerages, it's incredibly rare where you talk to an agent, they come in, they meet with us, we do an overview, and they say, where do I sign? I'm ready to join. It's usually a multiple step process because it's a bigger decision for an agent that's been with a brokerage for a while. There's brokers that they have ties with, they have friends, they don't like change. It's not easy because you got to change signs, change cards, change marketing. You got to change your website, your business cards. It's like a big decision for a lot of agents out there. So there's multiple steps. So I think adding this in as an additional resource is really, really helpful for us. So keep that in mind that we have this available. And if you go onto the Facebook page and you join, these links are in a Google Drive on Matt's Facebook page that we all have access to once we're in that Facebook group. And there's some great things in there that we can utilize. So dig around in there and find what you like and how you can implement it in your business. He also uses CRM Grow. It does have a cost to it. You don't have to use that. You can copy and paste all the video links and everything that they use if you don't want to use a separate CRM just for agent attraction. But I love how the old saying, if you want to be paid, have it pay like a business, treat it like a business. So you have to be organized and keep in touch with those contacts that you make. So I'm just really appreciative that we have what we have. So if you want to grow a business, not only you are in the right company, but you're in the right group of people to have as much help as you want whenever you need it. So get out there and utilize it. And I know we all have big goals for 2024 and what we're going to do, but I mean, it's a great time over the next couple of weeks to go through and learn and put kind of a game plan together of how you want to use these tools. If you have someone that meets with Jeff or I, or goes to an overview and you say, I think we need to have them have a discussion with Matt so we can share that experience of someone that has a couple thousand agents in their group, which is incredible. So just wanted to share that and remind you, don't forget to utilize the tools that we have.
Well said, Eric. That was awesome. Good reminder. Even for me too, right? I mean, you and I talk quite often and I forget to reach up for the support. I started off this team meeting talking about how one of my regrets is not getting mentors at a younger age. That's what we have in the Ashbys, is we have somebody that's done what hopefully we can do ourselves and have a nice, vibrant EXP organization and some good rev share and help other agents. So thank you for that, Eric.
Yes, thank you. Anyone have anything else to add before we go?
I have something.
Go ahead.
So I'm sure you guys have heard about the Sell a House, Save a Child that Brent Gove talks about all the time. I don't know if anybody is already a member of that, but you can donate $100 a month and you get access to Brent Gove's training class for agent attraction by going through that. Does anybody else hear about that?
Yes, Nate, Shantae, myself, and my sister Stacy are all a part of that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So there's two parts to this that I'm doing now, is I'm starting that, and then every home I close, my client gets a thank you certificate, basically, that goes. I have them printed out professionally and put them in a plaque, and it's a. Why I get frazzled when I start talking on here. Certificate of appreciation. The following award is given to client's name, and then it explains about Sell a House, Save a Child, and then it's got my name and their name on it, my phone number and everything, and then the intention is to go on their wall. So I'm helping a cause, getting training, and putting a always top of mind up on my client's wall for as long as they have it on the wall.
I love it. That's awesome. I think it's important. People like to be a part of that and know that what they're doing is helping other people, on top of getting their needs taken care of, and they're going to remember that about you for sure. Well done.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I will end with my quote. Are you living or simply existing? Just something to ponder about.
Living a 10.
Living a 10 life. Awesome.
Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Great
Have a great
week.
day. Great week.
Thanks
ya.
so much, everybody.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.